The millionaire is shocked to see a black woman calm a crying baby like it's her own. The penthouse loomed above Manhattan like a watchful giant. Its sleek glass exterior glittered in the sunlight, hiding the emptiness within. Inside, the air felt heavy with silence, as if the walls themselves mourned a lack of laughter or warmth. Yet, there was a busy scene unfolding, a routine set in motion by Isis, a cleaning worker who had left her bustling hometown in Brazil. Dreaming of opportunities, she stepped into the opulent space, her heart pounding with both excitement and fear. The marble floors were cold beneath her feet, a stark contrast to the fiery spirit she carried inside. As she dusted the glittering surfaces, her mind drifted. The luxurious furniture, perfectly arranged, felt more like a museum display than a home. It was here, among the polished chandeliers and rich fabrics, that she first heard the soft cries of a baby. The sound pierced through the silence, echoing. Isis approached, warmth flooding her chest as she picked up the child. Valentina's cries quieted almost instantly, soothed by the gentle touch of a nurturing hand. It was a moment full of magic, a deep bond forming as Isis cradled the baby against her heart, humming a soft tune from her homeland. In this cold, well-filled cocoon, she had found a flicker of love. But before the day could end on a high note, the door swung open, revealing Alex, the wealthy father. His sharp eyes scanned the room, landing on Isis and his daughter. Confusion flickered across his face, quickly replaced by suspicion. Who was this woman holding Valentina? The air thickened with tension, an electric charge that set their worlds at odds. Just as quickly as it formed, the bond between Isis and Valentina faded under Alex's scrutinizing gaze, leaving Isis trembling, unsure whether she had overstepped her boundaries. Days turned into weeks, and despite the underlying conflict, an unusual friendship began. Yet, Alex's anxiety dug deeper every day. He grappled with the notion that Isis might become a permanent fixture in their carefully curated lives. Then came the day when the tension peaked. Fearing that he was losing control, Alex struck out. "You need to go," he told Isis, harshly, the words helplessly escaping without thought. The finality of them shattered the delicate peace. Heartbroken, Isis packed her few belongings. As she closed the door behind her, a small part of her longed to stay, to keep that bond with Valentina alive. But in her absence, Valentina's laughter faded into soft whimpers of sadness, stirring something deep within Alex. He felt the weight of regret settle around him like an unbearable shroud. A flicker of realization ignited within him. He had chased away not just a caregiver, but someone who had filled their empty world with warmth. Determined to find Isis, Alex stepped out into the rhythm of the city, searching for the woman who had cracked open the dew. To become part of the family, not just a worker? They stood at the brink, futures intertwined and uncertainty looming over them, both longing to redefine their lives in a way that held profound possibilities. Hey, before we continue with this incredible story, I need to give you an important warning. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube removed their subscriptions without prior notice. Take a quick look at the red button below to make sure you are still subscribed to the channel. I don't want you to miss any exclusive content coming up. And since you're here, leave that powerful like that helps me a lot with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, from which city are you watching this? I love getting to know every amazing person who is part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's interact. As they stood there, the city buzzed around them, both of them lost in an unspoken moment. Alex's heart raced, knowing he had to speak first. "Isis, But before he could finish, a loud crash echoed from the direction of the penthouse. They shot anxious glances at each other, the moment shattered like glass. "Did you hear that?" Isis asked, her voice trembling slightly. Alex nodded, his frown deepening. Without a word, they raced back toward the building, fear driving their steps. The once sleek penthouse now loomed ominously above them, as if it concealed a dark secret within its luxurious facade. They burst through the door, the heavy silence of the space now replaced by frantic noises. In the nursery, chaos reigned. The beautiful rocking chair lay overturned, and Valentina was still in her crib, her tiny body visibly shaking. But what held their breath was the figure standing over her. A man, tall and shadowy, with piercing eyes locked onto Alex's. He had a wild intensity, like a storm ready to unleash its fury. "Who are you?" Oh, Alex's voice was a mix of fear and authority, but his heart thumped heavily against his ribs. "Your worst nightmare," the man sneered, a wicked grin stretching across his face. "Let's just say I have business with your little family." Isis's eyes widened. A knot formed in her stomach. "What do you want?" she whispered, clutching her chest. The man chuckled darkly, stepping closer to Valentina. "I'm here to collect what's owed, you see. Alex here is part of something far bigger than he ever comprehended." Alex's breath hitched. "What do you mean?" "Your father, Alex. He left a trail of debt, and it's time to settle it. This little girl is nothing but leverage, a pawn in a much bigger game." Isis felt the room spin. The warmth she'd felt with Valentina evaporated, replaced by icy fear. She glanced between Alex and the man, confusion boiling in her mind. "What are you talking about?" Alex's face paled, realization dawning on him, and he looked at Isis, desperation etched across his features. "I didn't know. I swear I didn't know." The man laughed. The sound like nails on a chalkboard. "Oh, but he does now. This is what happens when you play with fire, Alex. You wanted a family, experience a happy life, but nothing ever is that simple, is it?" Silence fell heavily, broken only by the distant sounds of the city, the world outside moving on while they were trapped in this dire moment. Suddenly, Valentina's cries erupted, pushing the tension to its breaking point. Alex took a step forward, tension radiating from his body. "You can't do this! She's just a baby!" The man raised his hand, eyes glinting dangerously. "I can and I will, unless you want me to ruin everything. You better start thinking of ways to pay off your father's debt. Have your worker prepare herself." Isis felt a chill run down her spine as a horrible twist gripped her heart. She was no longer just a caregiver. She was now entwined in a darker story that began long before she arrived in this luxurious prison. As the man turned to leave, he paused, smirking. "Oh, and prayer doesn't work for people like us. Just remember that every smile hides a history." With that, he vanished into the shadows, leaving behind a suffocating air of dread. Alex's hands trembled, disbelief washing over him. "What just happened?" he breathed, looking helplessly at Isis, who felt hollow inside. Her mind raced, tangled in the words just spoken. They were on the brink of something profound, something that could ruin them both. With the weight of uncertainty hanging over them, they stood paralyzed, knowing their lives would never be the same again. What lay behind the shadows now? What had Alex truly inherited? The flicker of hope felt like a distant star, barely visible, the darkness slowly closing in around them. As they stood there, the air thick with uncertainty, everything suddenly shifted. A noise broke through the suffocating silence. It was a phone vibrating incessantly on the polished surface of the nursery dresser. Alex and Isis exchanged worried glances. Was it a lifeline, or a harbinger of more trouble? Alex hesitated, his hand hovering over the phone. "Is it?" he started, his voice barely a whisper. Clenching his teeth, He picked it up, his heart pounding. The screen lit up, lighting up the shadows in the room like a sickly glow. A name flashed across the display, freezing the moment. "Dad?" he mouthed, throat constricting, panic flooding his veins. "Answer it," Isis urged, wide-eyed. Before he could think, Alex swiped the screen. "What do you want?" he practically spat, his voice shaky but filled with anger. "Alex, you need to listen carefully." The voice was coded in darkness, a mix of threats and warning. "Is it about the man from before?" Alex demanded. "The debt? Why didn't you tell me?" "Isis, get away from the window," the voice snarled, urgency cutting through Alex's confusion. But it was too late. As Alex turned toward her, the sound of shattering glass echoed through the nursery. A shadow sprang from outside, crashing through the frame like a predator. Time slowed. Isis barely had a moment to react, her eyes widening in horror as the figure lunged towards Valentina. "No!" Alex shouted, adrenaline surging through him. He darted forward, grabbing for Isis, as the figure crashed into the room. In a split second, everything spun into chaos, a blur of arms, screams, and fear. The dark figure, rough and wild, aimed for Valentina. "You think it ends here?" he yelled, eyes blazing like fire. Alex's body reacted before his mind did. He leapt, shoving both Isis and Valentina out of the way just as a gunshot rang out. The world stopped for a heartbeat. Isis gasped, eyes darting toward the darkness as Alex stumbled back, clutching his shoulder. Warm blood seeped through his shirt like a cruel reminder of the danger they were in. Without thinking, Isis grabbed the nearest thing, a vase, and hurled it at the intruder. It shattered against the wall, distracting him just long enough for Alex to regain his balance. "Get the baby," he barked, knowing Valentina was in danger. In the chaos, the urgency shifted, a tidal wave of fear crashing over them. Valentina cried, her little heart racing in sync with Alex's frantic pulse. The intruder snarled, and with a swift motion, he drew a blade from his belt. But before he could advance, a doorway swung open behind him. All eyes turned. There stood a woman, tall and fierce, with a look that could freeze fire. "Enough," she commanded. Her voice radiated power like a thunderclap. The intruder hesitated, confusion mixed with fear. In that moment of distraction, she stepped forward, revealing a badge clipped to her belt. "Federal agent, you're under arrest." Every syllable was a hammer striking the tension. The room held its breath as the atmosphere thickened. Alex staggered back, shock etching deep lines in his face. He had no idea who this woman was or why she was here. But before anyone could react, she locked eyes with Isis, a flicker of recognition flaring between them. "You shouldn't be here, Isis. We'll talk later," she said softly, almost like a plea. Isis's heart lurched. "You know her?" she whispered, confusion deepening. "Get in the car," the agent ordered, pointing toward the back exit. "Now." And just like that, the confusion swirled, reality unraveling like cheap thread. Who was the intruder? What secrets did the agent hold? And why did they all seem to know each other? As chaos unfolded, their fates danced on the edge, uncertainty creeping in like shadows. Hidden connections, buried secrets, and the horrifying truth of Alex's past loomed like a dark cloud. Everything they believed careened toward a cliff. What lay ahead was a twisted path, shrouded in danger and fog. They stood on the edge, trembling at the unknown, desperately clawing for stability in a world turned upside down. As the agent's voice cut through the chaos, an uneasy silence settled over the room. Alex's heart raced, confusion battling with the adrenaline coursing through his veins. He felt the weight of his injury. Blood seeped through his fingers, soaking into his shirt. But he couldn't focus on that now. His eyes darted between the agent and the intruder, the tension like a taut wire ready to snap. "Who are you?" the intruder spat, refusing to back down, his posture tense and aggressive. The agent stood firm, unwavering. "You're under arrest. Leave the girl alone and put your hands where I can see them." In that moment, everything shifted with a suddenness that stole their breath. The intruder lunged at Alex, and instinct took over. Alex swung out, pain shooting through his shoulder, but he couldn't let fear paralyze him. Isis screamed, "Alex!" But what happened next felt like it was pulled from a nightmare's page. A loud explosion rocked the penthouse, sending furniture crashing and a cloud of smoke billowing up from the floor beneath them. The floor shook, and Alex stumbled, trying to steady himself as debris fell around them like rain. Amid the chaos, Valentina's cries pierced through. They were the soundtrack of unfiltered terror. Alex's heart lurched. In the confusion, he lost sight of the intruder, his attention torn between protecting his daughter and the threat that loomed. "Get her out!" the agent shouted, her voice rising above the din. But before Alex could react, another figure emerged from the haze, a woman stepping through the doorframe with an air of icy calm. Her eyes were sharp, scanning the room. She pointed a gun directly at the agent. "I know what you are," she said, her voice steady, laced with a cold familiarity. "And we both know you can't protect them." The agent's face contorted, shock flashing in her eyes. "You? Time's up." With that, the woman fired a shot, directed not at anyone in the room, but at the window behind the agent, sending shards of glass flying. Alex's breath caught in his throat. Who was she? The question hung in the air, heavy and suffocating. As the glass shattered, the scene descended into chaos once more. Alex grabbed Valentina from the crib, cradling her to his chest. He turned to find Isis, her expression a mixture of determination and fear. But what twisted his gut more was the agent, who had dropped to the floor, the blood pooling around her. "No!" Alex shouted, rushing toward her, adrenaline coursing through him. "Don't!" the agent gasped, barely able to catch her breath. "She's one of them." Whispers erupted from the shadows. Alex felt the world shift beneath him. "What do you mean?" he pleaded. "Your father," she choked out, gasping for air. "He's connected. This is bigger than you think." The woman's eyes glinted dangerously, watching the agent squirm. "Looks like your father left you a legacy, and it's messier than you ever imagined." In that moment, revelation shattered through the remnants of normalcy. Alex's chest tightened. Who was his father really? What had he done? Fear flooded him, every heartbeat echoing in the silence that followed. Valentina squirmed in his arms, her cries cutting through his shock. He held her tighter, desperation clawing at him. But then the woman smirked, a dark flicker of satisfaction lighting up her eyes. "You have a choice to make, Alex. Join me. We can settle this debt, or let the past continue to haunt you and your family." Stumbling back against the nursery's wall, Alex and Isis exchanged wide-eyed glances. Was this a chance for redemption, or a deeper plunge into darkness? In the thick air of the infant nursery, filled with fear, blood, and unanswered questions, everything they thought they knew began to unravel. As their world tilted on its axis, the realization hit. The shadows were closing in fast, and they would have to decide who they could trust amidst a storm of secrets and lies. Time was slipping away, the clock ticking ominously. As the chaos unfolded around them, the agent's words hung in the air like smoke, filled with urgency and threat. Alex's heart raced, raw panic coursing through him. "Join you?" His voice cracked, filled with disbelief. "What does that even mean?" The woman smirked, her eyes cold and calculating. "This isn't just about you, Alex. This is about legacy. Your father was part of something much bigger. You can step in or step aside. Your choice." Before Alex could process this new reality, a throbbing pain shot through his shoulder. blood soaking his shirt. He winced, adrenaline surging as he yelled, "Get back!" He shielded Valentina, every muscle tensed, ready to fight. Then came a loud thud that reverberated through the space, shaking the ground beneath them. All eyes turned towards the door. The chaos outside poured in, a stampede of footsteps, shouts, and sirens. They were no longer alone. "What the hell is happening?" Isis cried, her voice breaking, her eyes wide with fear. The growing noise outside turned into a cacophony, a storm brewing on the other side of the now jagged window. Suddenly, the room filled with people in uniforms, officers bursting in, guns drawn. The unexpected flood made everything feel surreal. The agent raised her hand, the urgency spilling from her voice. "Get down! Move!" Isis darted towards the door, her instincts kicking in. But Alex held firm, his focus glued to the intruder. "Stop!" he yelled as officers aimed their weapons. "Get away from her!" one officer shouted, directing his attention at the agent, mistaking her for a threat. The lines blurred, confusion echoing loudly. "Wait!" Alex called, understanding dawning. She's on our side." But it was too late. A surge of chaos erupted. Guns fired, shouting filled the air, and for an agonizing moment, Alex felt time freeze. He turned to see the woman, the one who knew his father, smirking still, eyes glinting. She moved with an ease that was unnerving, almost playful in the way she dodged the officer's attempts to seize her. "Your father was a fool," she hissed, casting a glance towards Alex. "But you're quick. I like that in you." Her gaze flicked back to the agents, and in one fluid motion, she milled through them, slipping out of the room. "No!" Alex yelled, horrified as he sprinted after her. But suddenly, an unexpected force gripped his arm, Isis, pulling him back. "Don't, Alex! Let me go!" he shouted. But then the world shifted in a new direction. He turned to see the agent drawing in a ragged breath, her eyes full of desperation. "Wait," she begged, her voice wispy. "There are secrets that could unravel everything, Alex. You need to." A gunshot rang out, sharply cutting through the noise, ringing loud with the weight of finality. They all froze, breath caught in their throats. Suddenly, a bright flash of pain shot across the agent's chest, deep red blooming against her uniform. "No!" Alex yelled, lunging forward as she crumpled to the floor, face pale and shocked. Isis gasped, pulling Valentina close, fear pulling her heart. "What just happened?" The agent's hand twitched, clutching desperately at her wound. "You have to understand," she choked, words spilling out like blood. "Your father is not who you think. He was part of a syndicate." Her words faded into a gurgle, leaving Alex rocking on his feet, bewildered. This was not the hero he thought he knew. Was his father really a criminal? What had he signed up for? The room began to spin, shadows closing in. The thick of turmoil, the last shock hit. Just beyond the crumbling doorway, the woman stood grinning. "You thought it was just your inheritance?" she crooned. "Welcome to the family business, Alex." Beneath the surface of his response, confusion swirled. Who could he trust? In a world filled with layers of deceit, was anyone telling the full truth? The weight of betrayal sank deep, and as the chaos engulfed them, the question pulsated within Alex's mind. Could he even escape the legacy that seemed to have entwined itself around him before he was even born? The room pulsed with tension, shadows dancing against the walls as Alex stared at the woman with the gun. She had an otherworldly confidence, like she thrived in chaos. "Welcome to the family business," she taunted, her smirk slicing into the fragile threads of hope Alex clung to. What does that even mean? Alex could barely find his voice, the words tumbling from his mouth, heavy with disbelief. The agent coughed, blood spilling between her fingers as she pressed against her wound. "Alex, you don't understand," she gasped, her eyes wide with urgency. "It's a trap. They're coming for you. They think you hold the key." Before he could reach her, the woman shot a glare at the fallen agent. "You have no idea what you've stumbled into, do you?" Her tone was mocking, cold. "And now you get to watch it all burn." As if on cue, the floor rumbled again, shaking the walls, and the lights flickered ominously. Alex's instincts screamed danger. "Isis!" he shouted, and his eyes flashed around for her. Valentina's cries echoed against the chaos, a symphony of fear that twisted his gut. In a heartbeat, another loud boom exploded through the penthouse. The windows shattered, raining glass like deadly confetti. "Get down!" Alex yelled, instincts taking over. He dove, pulling Isis and Valentina to the floor just as the room erupted into a fierce whirlwind of debris. Was this how it ended? He clung to them, shielding them from the danger. Fear surged, visceral and dark, and his heart raced faster than he thought possible. But then, the dust began to settle, revealing a surreal scene. The woman stood unfazed, the agent gasping on the ground. The weight of her words hung thick. "You don't know what's coming," she continued, eyes gleaming with a manic brightness. "But I'm here to help you, whether you like it or not." "What are you talking about?" Alex hissed, confusion and pain churning in his chest. Just then, sirens wailed, cutting through the tension. Shadows raced past the doorway, and the energy shifted again. The team of officers bursting in, guns raised. "Drop your weapons! Hands where we can see them!" an officer barked. In the frenzy, the woman raised her gun with an elegance that shook Alex to his core. "That changes nothing," she snapped, her eyes narrowing. Then, the shocking twist. A figure slipped through the doorway, behind the officers, a face he hadn't seen in years. His heart stopped. "Mom?" The word barely escaped his lips, heavy and incredulous. She stepped in, poised and fierce, a ghost waking from the past. "Get away from her!" she bellowed, eyes blazing. "What have you done, Alex?" Everyone froze. Muffled whispers filled the room. The officers exchanged glances, confusion painting their features. Alex's mind reeled, emotions swirling. At first, shocked to see her, then battling disbelief. This wasn't possible. How could they be here? "Mom, it's not what you think," he stammered, the words tumbling like stones. But she cut him off, pointing her finger at the woman. "You were supposed to protect him, not drag him into this." The air grew heavy. The room was a loaded gun, tension coiling tightly, ready to explode. What did she mean? Who were they really? And how could they possibly be intertwined in all of this mess? "Alex, listen." His mother grabbed his arm, her grip firm and urgent. "I'll explain everything. Just get Valentina out of here." The frantic moment twisted, brain tangling in confusion. Alex's heart raced. Betrayal settled deep, fusing like an anchor. "What truth have you hidden?" he shouted, desperation creeping in. Just then, another loud explosion rocked the building. A fireball erupted in the hallway, flames licking like the tongues of ferocious beasts. "Run!" the agent shouted, her voice fierce. The chaos around them crashed, noise overwhelming. Alex barely had a moment to think, but his mother's eyes bore into him with something, a mix of urgency and fear. He knew then, like a knife carving through solid flesh, that everything he thought was real was unraveling. With a cry of urgency, he turned, instinct pulling him towards the exit. But as he swept Valentina and Isis into his arms, he stole one last glance back. His mother's face, contorted with pain and fear, haunted him. "You have to make a choice, Alex, right now." The flames roared closer. Would it be worth it to turn back and confront whatever secrets lay between them? Would he risk everything for answers? His pulse thundered in his ears, drowning out the chaos, a singular truth ringing as everything exploded. And as they stepped into the unknown, The echoes of their shattered lives called from behind, whispering secrets that would shape their destinies forever. As they stepped into the unknown, a suffocating blanket of chaos swirled around them. Alex felt the heat licking at his back as they barreled toward the stairwell, adrenaline surging. He could hear the crackling of flames behind them, the thick smoke curling around his lungs like a vice. Each breath felt labored, the acrid smell stinging his nostrils. He held Valentina tight, her tiny body trembling against him. "Alex, we need to move," Isis urged, her eyes wide with urgency. They dashed down the narrow stairs, each step echoing in the vast emptiness. "Where do we go?" he panted, panic rising in his throat. Voices droned behind them, chaos playing out like a scene from a horror movie. The fire roared louder, a beast growing hungry. Just as they reached the landing, a loud crash resounded up ahead, slamming through the hallway. "There's no way out," a voice shouted, full of dread. "Keep going," he yelled back, determination fueling him as fear clawed at his chest. The door to the roof was just ahead, relief inching closer. Alex pushed through it, flinging it open into the night air, but as they emerged, the world shifted. The moon hung heavy over the city, casting eerie shadows. Just a few steps ahead, the roof was scattered with figures, uniformed officers drawn into the chaos. They moved in sync, their eyes scanning the area, but something felt wrong. "Don't move!" shouted an officer, drawing a weapon. The air crackled with tension. "Alex!" Isis cried, desperation dripping from her voice. But before he could respond, a blinding light illuminated the roof. Helplessly, they squinted against the radiance as a helicopter hovered overhead, its rotating blades slicing through the air like ominous blades. A heavy thud echoed beneath them. Someone was descending. "Get down!" an officer barked, and suddenly a rope ladder unfurled. Frantic energy surged. Were they here to rescue or trap them? Reality splintered as a figure slid down, landing gracefully. It was the woman from earlier, the one who had taunted them. Panic gripped Alex. "Why are you here?" he shouted, confusion and anger mixing inside him. She raised her hands, a twisted smile playing on her lips. "I'm not your enemy, Alex. You just don't know what's really happening." Before he could comprehend it all, she stepped closer, in a movement so swift it made his heart race. She swiped something from her pocket and hurled it at his feet. A flash grenade exploded, blinding light engulfing them. "Alex!" Isis screamed, trying to shield Valentina. The world erupted in chaos. As the light receded, confusion reignited the air around them. Alex blinked away the spots clouding his vision, desperate to find Isis and Valentina. And then he heard it, a soft and gentle laugh. It wasn't the laugh of anyone in the room. It sounded eerily familiar. "No, it can't be," he whispered, voice trembling. From behind the chaos, stepping through the smoke with an enigmatic calm, was a woman with flowing dark hair and piercing green eyes. She looked just like his mother. But how could it be? The room spun as every memory he had of her collided with this moment. "Mom?" he breathed, disbelief crashing against him like waves. "Hello, Alex," she said softly, her lips curling into a knowing smile. "You've made too many enemies, my son." The ground beneath him fell away. His heart thundered as the gears clicked in place. The truth was a tangled web, pulling him in every direction. The woman beside his mother nodded, eyes sharp as she surveyed the chaos. "Time to settle our family debt," she said, her gaze flicking toward the officers surrounding them. He felt the world tilt. Alliances he thought were solid cracked open like a broken dam. Relationships he had trusted began to fray, secrets bubbling up under the surface, begging to be revealed. "Is this all a game to you?" he erupted, emotions spilling over. "You've been lying to me." But then came an explosion behind him, shattering the rooftop silence. He turned in horror as the wall partially collapsed. The officers scrambled, chaos erupting anew. The movement threw Alex off balance. In the same instant, the world blurred once more as he glanced at the woman. His mother had not come for a reunion. She had come for a reckoning. "Choose wisely, Alex," she called over the chaos, the reality shifting like sand before his very eyes. The family business is waiting. In an instant, he felt the full weight of his decision resting on his shoulders. As the flames licked closer and relationships cracked, he wondered, could he truly escape this hidden legacy? Would he, in time, become the very monster he feared? The truth loomed large, dark and menacing, daring him to dive deeper. Would he follow his lineage or forge his own path? As he stood there on the rooftop, the heat of the flames crackling behind him, Alex felt the weight of every choice pressing down. He exchanged frantic glances with Isis, who cradled Valentina protectively, fear etched across her face. Would they really dive into this family legacy full of deceit? His heart shook in his chest. "Alex!" his mother shouted once more, urgency stampeding through her words. "You have to trust me. This is bigger than any of us." But just as he opened his mouth, poised to reply, another figure emerged from the shadows, a tall man, grizzled with dark shadows under his eyes, who stepped out from the cover of the rooftop entrance. Alex's breath caught. This was not just any man. It was his father, the very one who had planted the seeds of this chaos. "Dad?" he breathed, heart pounding with a mix of disbelief and hope. "I thought you were gone." His father's expression was unreadable. "Son, you need to listen carefully. There are forces at play here that you can't comprehend." But before he could continue, the woman with the gun turned, shock clearing from her face as she tightened her grip. You shouldn't be here." Her voice trembled, a crack in her facade. "Cynthia, you're risking everything," his father snapped, an edge of fear lacing his voice. Fear slithered through Alex's veins. "Who is Cynthia? What's happening?" he yelled, the chaos swirling around them. Just then, in the midst of their shock, Valentina let out a high-pitched wail. It cut through the tense air, sending a shiver down everyone's spine. Isis instinctively moved closer, but Alex couldn't take his eyes off the unfolding drama. His father and the woman, Cynthia, looked almost apprehensive, their eyes locked in an unspoken battle. "Enough," his father said sharply, igniting a new wave of dread. "This isn't just family, it's dangerous." Without warning, another explosion rocked the building, sending debris flying. Screams erupted as officers stumbled back from the blast. The sheer force threw Alex off balance, and he stumbled, adrenaline flooding his system. Amidst the wreckage and panic, a single shard of glass flew through the air, slicing through the space with deadly precision. In a heartbeat, it happened. He watched, heart sinking, as the piece of glass struck his father, piercing through his side. Time slowed as Alex's world single-handedly crumbled around him. "Dad!" he cried, reaching out, but his father's knees buckled, collapsing to the ground. "No." Alex reached him just as his father gasped for breath, eyes wide in shock. The chaos swallowed them, screams of surprise and horror filling the night sky. Cynthia's face twisted into pure disbelief, her expression a mix of horror and rage. "You were supposed to be safe," she shouted, voice cracking. "Alex, it's all connected," his father wheezed, blood seeping through his shirt. His hand trembled as he struggled to grasp Alex's arm. "The syndicate, they're coming for you both." Alex's heart raced. This was not just about him anymore. It was about everyone. "What do you mean?" But just then, the edges of his father's world blinked out, his eyes growing distant, fading from focus. The cries of Valentina shrieked in the background, but Alex could only focus on the dark, looming truth before him. How could this be? Cynthia rushed forward, but Alex recoiled, the pain of realization hitting him like a tidal wave. When did his family become this tangled in violence and treachery? Everything he had believed snapped apart, exposing the ugly truths he never wanted to see. With officers closing in around them, a cloud of uncertainty hung heavy in the air. Alex stood above his father's fading form amid the disaster he had not seen coming. It all felt like a nightmare, a tangled web of blood that he couldn't cut himself free from. "Alex," his father's voice faltered, breath hitching. You're the key." The finality of those words crushed down on him. In that moment, he felt as if the ground had given way entirely, and he was left hovering in a void, everything spinning out of control. How could he be the key to a life filled with shadows he wanted to escape? But in that swirling maelstrom of danger and loss, a flash of clarity struck him like lightning. And as the world crumbled around him, he needed to make one choice that would redefine everything. Could he step forward into the storm, or would he run? The weight of the legacy hit him, thick and heavy, and with it came the haunting question: what kind of person would he become? As the officers approached and chaos surged around him, everything hung in balance, a line drawn between choices, lineage, and the bloodline that refused to let him go. A sudden silence fell, thick and pregnant, with possibilities that could shatter as easily as glass. Alex knelt over his father. The chaos blurred into a diss. The weight of desperation pressed hard on his chest. "Dad, please, stay with me," his voice cracked. His father tried to speak, but a pained gasp escaped his lips instead. Alex's heart raced, pounding like a drum. "What have you gotten into? I didn't want any of this." "Alex," his father said, a shudder shaking his frail body, "you're the only one who can stop it." Cynthia seemed to pale in the harsh light of the helicopter. "This is not how it was supposed to go." Her voice trembled. The world felt like it was pulling apart. Just then, Valentina let out another wail, drowning the moment in her cries. Everything inside him twisted taut as the echoes of rushing footsteps filled the air, a chorus of urgency. Alex felt again what he had forgotten. He couldn't lose Valentina. All of a sudden, a loud crash came from the edge of the roof. What was happening? Eyes whipped toward the sound, and in an instant, the reality shifted. A figure emerged from the shadows, wearing a dark hood and sunglasses that gleamed with menace. "It's time," the figure said, voice smooth and cold. "We have unfinished business." "Who are you?" Alex yelled, fear making his voice tremble. The figure stepped forward, closer to the edge of the chaos, and suddenly bright lights flashed, revealing a face he never expected to see. "Surprise," the figure said, lifting the hood. It was his brother, Jason, who had been missing for years. "I came back to clean up our family's mess." Stunned silence enveloped them all. "Jason?" Alex's pulse raced. "I thought you were dead." "Dying was an option," Jason laughed, a twisted smile on his face. "But I have better plans." He turned slowly, taking in everyone as if they were pawns in his game. "And I need you, Alex." "What are you talking about?" Alex whispered, confusion flooding through him. "Did you think I wouldn't find you?" Jason sneered. "After all this time, while you played house with Valentina, I was crafting a much bigger play. The family business." His eyes gleamed with malicious intent. It needed a new leader. Fear curled coldly in Alex's gut. Everything he thought he understood shattered like glass. "Cynthia, you still play the devoted agent, I see," Jason mocked, making a sweeping gesture toward the officers. "But you're on the wrong side of the board." Before anyone could react, the rooftop shook violently. A loud explosion erupted beneath them, flames licking up the walls of the building. The officer shouted, scrambling for cover as debris rained down. In the chaos, Alex swept Valentina closer, heart racing. "Get away from him," he yelled, aiming his fury at Jason. But another wave of force threw them all forward. "Do you really think I'm here for your approval?" Jason laughed as the shaking continued. "It's time for you to choose, brother. You can join me, or I will take everything you love." "No!" Alex shouted, desperation clawing at him. "You won't hurt my family." And as the flames grew closer, reality spun on its axis. Relationships morphing in the heat of the moment. The earth felt unstable beneath his feet. Jason's words echoed louder than the chaos. Would he really have to fight his own brother? But as they all stood there, hearts racing, eyes wide, the real terror dawned. The deeper roots of their family legacy wound around them tighter than he ever imagined. Would he turn against the only family he had left, or stand alone in the inferno, the unknown consuming all? The flames roared, and shadows stretched long under the moon's unforgiving light. And suddenly, everything felt hopelessly lost. The flames roared, the chaos thick around them. Alex's heart pounded in his chest as he knelt over his father. There was no time to waste. The weight of the legacy pressed down, suffocating. "You can't leave me like this," he cried, desperation clawing at his throat. But his father's eyes were glazed, his breaths shallow. "You hold the key," he murmured, his voice barely a whisper. "Dad, please, fight! Don't leave us!" A look of understanding passed over his father's face, and just like that, everything shifted. Cynthia rushed forward, pain etched in every line of her body. "We need to get him help!" "No!" Jason shouted, his voice fierce. "It's too late for him. We don't have time for this." Another explosion echoed in the distance, shaking the rooftop. Alex felt the ground tremble beneath him. The officers were closing in, their shouts mixing in with the chaos. "Alex!" His mother's voice sliced through the madness like a knife. "You have to choose, now!" He felt the fire lick closer, flames dancing ominously in the corners of his vision. Valentina whimpered in Isis's arms, her tiny frame trembling. Alex's heart ached. "I'm not leaving you," he yelled back, gaze darting to his brother. "What's the plan, then?" Jason sneered, taking a step toward the edge. "Are you ready to embrace the darkness that's been waiting for you?" "No!" Alex shouted, fists clenching. "I'll never join you." Just then, the officer in charge stepped forward, the urgency pouring from his presence. "We need to arrest him, both of them." Chaos erupted again as Jason lunged, moving like a shadow, intent on escape. "Alex, don't be weak. You can't let them take you." With every ounce of resolve, Alex sprang to his feet. "I won't let you hurt my family." "Alex, don't!" Isis cried out. Valentina clutched tightly to her chest, eyes wide with fright. But he didn't stop. He moved forward, surging with adrenaline. In that moment, a rush of clarity hit him. This wasn't about embrace or defiance. It was about protecting Valentina and letting go of the chains that bound him. "Stop!" he bellowed, arms wide. The noise fell away, tension pulsing in the air. Jason hesitated, surprise flickering across his features. "What are you doing?" he snarled. "I'm choosing my family." Before he could think, he charged at Jason, their past colliding in an explosion of fury. They fought hard, grappling for dominance. With a swift move, Alex caught Jason off balance, sending him toward the edge of the rooftop. "Alex!" Jason called, terror lacing his voice. The world around them faded into a heartbeat. Alex's breath caught in his throat. He felt the pull of something deep within, a desire to let go, to finally break free of the chains of their family legacy. "It ends here, Jason," he shouted, his voice ringing clear. The moment hung. Then, with a push, he sent Jason sprawling backward. He watched as his brother stumbled, arms flailing, before disappearing into the smoke. A loud crash echoed below, and silence fell like a blanket. The officers quickly moved in, securing the area. But Alex barely heard. The world shifted, tilting wildly. He turned back, seeing Cynthia on her knees beside their father, blood on her hands. The finality of it spiraled in his chest. "Mom!" he shouted, racing to her side. But the look on her face told him what he feared. It was too late. "No," he cried, the word escaping in a scream. She looked up at him, tears in her eyes. "Promise me. Keep them safe. Don't let this curse." Her voice faded, leaving the heavy weight of silence between them. As Alex clung to that moment, the officers regrouped, a flurry of orders and urgent conversations swirling around him. The fire crackled in a distant rhythm, a sinister reminder of the chaos they had just escaped. Isis grasped his arm, tears streaming down her face. "Alex, we have to go. For Valentina." He nodded, inhaling deeply, drawing strength from her words. The future felt uncertain, a wild card laid before them. But for the first time, a flicker of hope ignited within. Maybe they could find peace, forge their own path away from the shadows. As they stepped away from the flames, the noise of the city moving on filled the void. The cool night air washed over them, carrying the scent of rain about to break. Alex looked back one last time, knowing the past would linger forever, but that they could create something new. "Let's go home," he whispered, taking Isis's hand, clutching Valentina tight. The world might have changed, but he was ready to face whatever came next. And with that step, the uncertainty danced around them, leaving trails of questions unanswered. The legacy remained, twisted and dark. But in the light of the moon, they found the courage to stand tall. Now, this is your moment. You need to subscribe immediately to our channel so you don't miss out on the upcoming exclusive stories that will blow your mind. Smash that like button now to boost the algorithm and help us reach more amazing fans like you. Flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about this wild conclusion. And don't wait 1 second more to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to know how this epic tale wraps up. Only true fans understand the importance of supporting the channel with these actions. Let's do this together.